Welcome to The Ritual Nurse, where healing meets humor, science, and a touch of magic. Hey, family. Welcome back to the Ritual Nurse podcast, where we heal first, nurse better, and actually survive this career we've all given so much of ourselves to. This week, I want to share something personal. I just recently read The 4 Agreements for the very first time. I know. It's one of those books that people have been recommending for a long time, for years. Okay. Don't at me. But timing is everything. And reading it now, I'm pretty sure hit differently than it would have at other points in my life. I went through phases of kind of collecting self-help books and motivational books to really kind of make up for the dopamine and executive functioning. I mean, let's just be real, that I was lacking at the time. And it just ended up making me feel less competent, less confident, just less. Like it wasn't motivating. And a lot of it is because almost all of those books are designed for neuronormative people, not neurodivergent people. But there was something about this that was just simple, straightforward, wasn't overwhelming, and it just felt like the time to dive into it. And as I went through it, I realized something that without knowing it, these 4 agreements were pretty much how I had to learn to nurse. They were how the boundary lines that I set up, the bounding box that I created around myself as I developed as a professional nurse. They certainly were not part of my nursing school education. Nobody sat me down in clinicals and actually taught me how to build boundaries, how not to carry things home, how to protect my own mental health. I had to learn that the hard way through experience, through burnout, through over a decade of exposure to trauma, both primary and secondary exposure, and eventually healing. It's been a really long road that actually stemmed from a place of trying to heal other people. I mean, isn't that how we all do it? We're super good at taking care of other people. We know just the right advice to give. We don't follow any of it ourselves, of course, but it was a long path. The one agreement though, like as I contemplated all of this and really kind of connected the dots in my head, the one agreement that hit me the hardest was don't take anything personally. Because as a nurse, that's probably the hardest one of all. We're taught to care deeply, to invest, to be responsible for everyone's outcome. Nobody teaches us how to separate our identity from our job. You are a nurse. That is what you are. That is what you stepped into. It's really kind of been crafted as that identity. We are so often reminded that, it's not a job, it's a profession. It's not a job, it's a calling. It's not a job, it's a passion, it's a life mission. Those are all valid aspects of it. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is not just a job, for sure. But nobody teaches us how to hold space without carrying the entire emotional weight and psychosomatics of everything around us, the weight of the world. So today, let's talk about how the 4 agreements fit in nursing and maybe, just maybe, how they might save some of us. Let's go one by one. If you haven't read the 4 Agreements of Nursing, I highly recommend it. It is incredible. I want to talk about how I see these agreements, fitting into nursing and we'll go from there. But if you haven't picked up the book, you can find it everywhere. I actually found it at Grassroots, which is this incredible used bookstore here in Reno. I found a brand new copy of it. The author is Don Miguel Ruiz. He has other books out. The Fifth Agreement is one of them. Oh my gosh, I just looked at the other two books and I don't remember their names. But Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements, A Practical Guide to Personal Freedom is the book that I'm talking about. And so the first one, be impeccable with your practice. So in the book, the first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. For us, I think it really translates into more than that. It translates into being impeccable with our practice. And what does that look like? What am I talking about? That looks like know your scope, know your limits. And by limits, I don't mean legal scope. I mean, know your personal limits. So for me, for example, critical care nurse, ER, love it. The adult side, however, I actively, consciously stayed as far away from PICU, NICU, and most of PEDS ER as possible. You nurses out there, physicians, healthcare workers, team members out there that work in PICU, NICU, PEDS ER, you are my actual heroes. PEDS oncology. Oh my goodness. I stayed as far away from that as humanly possible. You better find an adultier adult to do that because it's not me. The adult stuff, no problem. Missing an arm, I will find it, we'll reattach it, figure out something to do with it. No hitch in my step there when it comes to acute adult emergencies, wild things, not a problem. Peds, on the other hand, absolutely not. So knowing your limits is not referring to your medical legal limits. It's your personal limits. Stay up to date on evidence-based care. Protect your license. And document like your career depends on it, because it does. Being impeccable doesn't mean being perfect. That's never a part of any conversation that I will ever have with you. It is not real. It doesn't exist. It's not a thing. It means being impeccable with your practice means being honest, accountable, safe. For example, like with our documentation, your documentation is your voice when you're not in the room. So be impeccable with it. The second one, don't take it personally. For us, that really kind of looks like don't take the system personally. Now, this is what I mean by this. I don't mean let them get away with it. I don't mean turn the other cheek, anything like that. This is what I'm talking about. And this is one that took me years to learn. A lot of self-awareness, a lot of emotional intelligence, like developing it, honing it, boundary setting, lots of, limit setting. And what this looks like, the patient who's screaming at you, the doctor who condescends, the family that doesn't trust you, the broken staffing matrix that, leaves you totally drowning and you feel like you can barely keep up. Never mind. Do it well. It isn't about you. That isn't your point of failure, is what I'm saying. It's about them. It's about the healthcare system that should hire more nurses so that they have a safe staffing matrix. It's about the family experiencing, and the patient, experiencing that visceral panic, that terrifying emotion, that inherent vulnerability that they're unprepared for. They are experiencing their emergency. You are helping them navigate it. You are not their emergency, and you are not the problem. You are not the issue. It is about them. It's about their fear. It's about their grief. It's about their own trauma. It's about a system that was broken long before we ever walked into the building. And yes, we're doing everything that we can to fix it because it's not sustainable, and we're not gonna stay in it. It has to change, whether they like it or not. But it's not It's not about us because of us. I used to take everything home with me. Every mistake, every missed IV stick, every angry family member. I wore it like it was a reflection of my worth. This job will eat you alive if you don't learn how to say, I hold space for you, but I will not carry what is not mine. Now, okay, if you make a mistake that harms a patient, it is very natural to think that guilt, that emotion, that, those feelings, all that, that's going to go home with you. If you cause harm to someone, that's something that you might not, you'll obviously never forget it, but, that's going to impact you deeply because we just, that goes against everything in our grain, to harm a patient. But what I mean is being tired and burned out and feeling like, never mind not being able to give your all, you're not even meeting the halfway mark. You're checking boxes, you're keeping patients safe and alive till 7:45. And none of it is the care that you want to be delivering. I mean, situations like those. I mean, the guilt over, do I pick up that overtime shift? They're short-staffed. It's my team. And, really feeling that guilt as if the weight of that for some reason is on you. It's not. It is absolutely not. It is the healthcare system's job to staff their units appropriately, not yours. But that's what I'm talking about. And that's the boundary work that we were never taught. Granted, I graduated a long time ago, but I still hear it in nursing. For those of you that don't know, I am forever the nursing student. I'm still in school. Hi, hello. It is me. I am still in school. I am finishing my FNP and my doctorate simultaneously. And there's still echoes and whispers of that altruism. My personal nursing instructors do not tell us that. I have phenomenal nursing instructors, but I am also a nursing instructor. I teach BSN students, and in academia, that is a battle cry. That is a slogan. That is a moniker that refuses to die. It just refuses to be put down. This notion of this altruistic, self-emptying, self-depleting asset that is the nurse, that is somehow, more than human and able to, do inhuman feats of compassion and empathy and caring and nurturing and giving, without exhaustion somehow, and without caregiver fatigue, without burnout, without normal human responses to trauma. So that is something that, those whispers are still around there. So we were not taught these boundaries when we were in nursing school, nor were we as new grads. And we certainly weren't taught how to fashion any of these boundaries or hold the space for ourselves as we moved through the healthcare system. And if this is something that you're struggling with, just know that, I see you. There's so many nurses out there who are doing this work, who are further along in this work than I am, who are just beginning in this work. And we see you. We see each other, because we felt these things too. We survived these things too. We are going through these things too. Another one, the next one, like the third one, is don't make assumptions. This one really, this is clinical safety 101. Assumptions kill. Never assume that someone else verified the order. Never assume that the med was double checked. Never assume that vague handoff gave you the full picture. SBAR exists for a reason. Clarify, validate, ask. There is not a dumb question. The nurse that stops asking questions is going to kill somebody. The nurse that is not willing to acknowledge she doesn't know, or he doesn't know, or they don't know what they don't know, is going to kill somebody. Even if you feel dumb, especially if you're new, especially if you're seasoned, okay, that tunnel vision and those blinders are far more dangerous than the gaps in clinical knowledge that a new graduate has or a beginning professional has. Ask the questions, clarify, validate, get another pair of eyes on it. A nurse who asks is a nurse who protects. We're human. Like, we don't know what we don't know. And certain skill sets and certain layers of knowledge, if you don't flex them and use them continuously, you got to brush the dust off. You got to go look up the policy. You got to go ask the clinical educator where the heck the cheat sheet is for XYZ, whatever the heck it is, or look up the evidence-based practice. Maybe stuff has changed in the past 10 years. Science and medicine change fast. Always be looking for that answer, the updated resources, the person who can answer your questions, the nursing buddy that can give you another pair of eyes and help you see, uncover any clinical biases that you might have. The last one is always do your sustainable best. So in the book, it says, always do your best. In nursing, we have to adjust that. I mean, really in life, I think we have to adjust that also. But in nursing, because that's what we're talking about right now, always do your sustainable best, because our best on a fully staffed, smooth day is, quite frankly, not the same as our best on a 1 to WTF ratio short staffed nightmare. It just isn't, because it humanly can't be. And we need to really match our expectations and our demands to reality within the scope of our practice. And sustainable best means protecting yourself from perfectionism. It doesn't exist. It isn't real. Giving what you can give in that moment, giving what you can give that day, and knowing when enough is enough. And sometimes surviving when that's all that's possible. Perfectionism fuels burnout. Perfectionism is such a monster. And it is purely, utterly made up. Sustainability, however, fuels resilience. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to hold your hands, all your hands, with so much love when I say this. And I'm going to say it, I'm going to pause, and I'm going to say it again. Do not turn off the podcast when I do this. Hang in there with me. But your worth is not measured by how much you sacrifice. I'm going to say it again. Your worth is not measured by how much you sacrifice. Do your sustainable best. Whatever that might be in that shift, in that moment, in that hour, that day. Let's take our usual pause. I want you to breathe. I want you to hydrate. I want you to roll your shoulders, your feet, ankles, neck. Stop rolling your eyeballs. I swear, you know how they used to tell us, your face is going to get stuck like that, when you, I don't know if you grew up when I grew up, but you'd get told by adults, that your face was going to get stuck like that. If that was true, my orbital sockets would be permanently evulsed or something, because my eyeballs, the amount of times that I'm rolling my eyeballs in my cranium, I am looking at the back of my skull, and my eyes would have gotten stuck like that if that was true. But I want you to roll everything, loosen up, breathe in, breathe out, hydrate. If you're listening at work, I see you. You are not alone. This is your time to hit pause. And if you are going to hang out with us, do all the things and jump back in, we're going to hit up some science after the break. And of course, our coffee crystals and divination. If you have to head back to the floor or off to do something else, then you always know you can come back and return for the second half, and we will see you then.
I've been beaten to the ground, dragged across the dirt. I've been scared to live 'cause some people never learn. but they're not gonna watch me burn. Cause baby, I got you. It's a new beginnings and a better life. It's the dancing underneath the disco lights. They can try, but they can never take me down. Ooh, cause I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid to love, not afraid to love you. I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid to love, not afraid to love you. They always bring all the lonely, but with you here, nothing can scare me. I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid to love, not afraid to love you. I will tell them what I'm feeling forevermore. I don't care.
All right, welcome back. I hope you're hydrated and did all the things. Let's bring in some science. Let's pull the science in, because the ritual nurse is always where the woo meets the data. There's some woo-woo stuff. I'm not going to lie. I like it. If you don't, that's okay. That's totally okay. But I'm also a science girl. I am definitely a type C. You know, there's like a type A, type B. I am a type C. And that also applies to, I am an ambivert, and I am also a woo science girl. How about we say that? So cognitive load theory talks about how every assumption, every extra emotion you carry burns brain power. When you stop taking things personally and you clarify assumptions, you reduce cognitive strain because you are reducing cognitive load. So think about your desktop. Well, not even your desktop. Let's just go straight for the device in your hand. If you open up your browser, how many tabs you got open? Right? I have seen, we're not gonna say who. We're not gonna talk about who. I have seen tab numbers in excess of 50, 60, 80. Again, we are not going to talk about who. That is the equivalent of cognitive load, really. Each one of those tabs is a thing that you're carrying around that is mid-process, that is not a closed loop of thought, that is one of the lanes of your multi-lane freeway is still active there with that cognitive load. And the more tabs we close, the more things we put to rest. Something that's so amazing for this is the list. If you don't know what it is, it's in earlier episodes. It's on the website. I have a bunch of free downloads for you guys of the list. It's an incredible cognitive tool that I made and released for my incredible listeners. And it unloads all of that nonsense. And in doing so, you reduce your cognitive strain. Emotional labor is another thing. So research shows that the chronic burden of emotional labor in nursing contributes directly to compassion fatigue and burnout. Both the ANA and the National Academy of Medicine, and it's funny because both of those are 2019 and 2020. I just would love to see those studies repeated in 24 and 25 after the pandemic and what we know now about it. But emotional labor, we didn't need research to tell us that. Emotional labor contributing to compassion fatigue and caregiver fatigue and burnout. We know that. And the emotional labor that we're doing is also accompanied by being in environments, being in context where it is already high stress, where it is exposure directly to trauma, high emotional load requiring really deep emotional labor sometimes, that just further accelerates that compassion fatigue and burnout. Boundary work in the brain. Boundary setting helps regulate our amygdala. That's our fight or flight center. And what we're trying to do is reduce that sympathetic nervous system activation. Less cortisol, lower anxiety, improved mental health, lower stress levels. And these 4 agreements in nursing, if you will, or as translated into nursing, Ruiz wrote very to the point and very succinctly. And it's just so apropos. And when you look at it through the lens of nursing, it's really incredible what a powerful tool those 4 agreements are through the perceptive filter of our context, and these ideas, these theories, these agreements impact all of them. Cognitive load, emotional labor, it helps. The 4 agreements are doing boundary work that impacts the brain. And another thing is perfectionism and the burnout situation. A 2023 meta-analysis in the Journal of Nursing Management showed a significant correlation between high levels of perfectionism and nurse burnout. I love how research sometimes tells us things that are like we all know this, and I'm not making light of the research. The research is vastly important. Why? Yes. Okay. So we knew that the things are we know perfectionism causes burnout. We know it, but in looking at the research and the mechanisms by which it does, the context that creates the perfectionism or the culture of perfectionism, that's how we actually acknowledge it. That's how we actually put voice to it. That's how we actually recognize it. So I'm not making light of the research. It's incredibly important and very powerful. Sustainable practice reduces that risk. When you embody these agreements, even imperfectly, what have we said this entire podcast? Perfectionism isn't real. Okay, so when you embody these agreements, however imperfectly, you're not just helping your patients, you're protecting your brain, your nervous system, and your longevity in the field. You're literally regulating your own neurochemistry by not taking things personally, by not making assumptions, by setting a standard of being impeccable in your practice, and always looking for our sustainable best. So the science behind it is rock solid. And I'm just going to leave that there. I know friends of mine right now are flipping off their phone, aka me, but rock solid, absolutely rock solid. So we're going to do coffee, crystals, and divination. And I don't know about you guys, but in the summer, I usually switch to iced coffee drinks and experiment with all the flavors and all the other stuff. This part of the segment, it's not about uncovering the latest trend or making up some drink or something. This part of the segment where we're talking about our coffee or our tea of the week, the whole idea is creating space, holding space, making a ritual of carving space out of your day for you to do the work of self-care. Any one of the dozens by now, out of all the episodes we have out so far, of the methods of self-care, of regulation, of trauma-informed care designed to help you heal. You can listen to the podcasts and take notes, and hopefully a lot of you, have copies of the list by your bedside or in your locker or, next to your nursing brain. They're all, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just had to pause to think about that. They're all work appropriate. They are all safe for work. Yes, they're all safe for work. I can't believe I had to think about that. I created some with mermaids on them, and suddenly I had to pause and think to myself, do they all have tops on? Oh my goodness. Yeah, they are all safe for work. So the point is, when we're talking about our coffee or our tea of the week, it's to give you ideas of that sweet treat or that hydration or that moment, because the more we repeat it, the more we talk about it, the more we synonymously identify those things together. You think about it when you go to make your drink. You think about it when you refill your water bottle and take a minute to hydrate or make your flavored water or brew that incredible aromatic tea or have that yummy frozen concoction, whatever it is. You think about the correlation between that and crafting, creating that ritual space. Ritual is habit. That's what it means. So making a ritual, making a habit. Now, a habit is commonplace, is analytical, is cut and dried. Ritual is different. It's richer, no pun intended. It's crafted. it's focused, it's nuanced. And that's why I keep calling it a ritual. That's why I'm the ritual nurse. Haha. See what I did there? Ritual is so important. It ties together all of the concepts and ideas that we want to incorporate while we're holding that space for ourselves. So with your coffee drink of the week, with your tea of the week, make a thing out of it. Give yourself permission, actually name it, create it, craft it, make it a thing that is your ritual. You are holding space for yourself. When you are taking 5 minutes to drink that still hot coffee drink, to get the first really good pulls off of that iced blended concoction that you have before it gets watered down, to inhale the aroma of that incredible tea or chai or matcha, whatever it is, your flavored water, get the first really good crispy sips of that carbonated flavored water, whatever it is that you're creating, and breathe. And do your box breathing, do your head to toe relaxation, the IV push, like whichever of the skill sets or tools that resonates the most with you. Filling out your list, taking that time to dive in and fill out your list and feel that cognitive relief as you lower that cognitive load. That's what this is about. And for me this week, I had Mexican coffee at a place called Dream. I think it's Dream Tacos here in Reno, Nevada. And the guy made it for me. I was like, hey, do you have coffee? And it was kind of like 11:30-ish. And he kind of stopped and he said, yeah, I'm going to make you a Mexican coffee and bring it. When I tell you the aroma, cinnamon, the sugar cane, no cream in it, not even necessary, no bitterness, the strength of the aroma, the smell. I don't know about you, but I love the smell of coffee. The just actual like brewed hot coffee. The smell of this was so incredible. I had to sit there, with both hands around the mug, sipping it, just actually savoring it in the middle of this restaurant. And it really brought me back to myself in that moment. It just does. It does, because I have made the act of savoring that drink, that beverage, that sweet treat, whatever it is, I have made that synonymous with ritual, with holding space, even if it's 5 minutes, and your body remembers that. So give it a try. See if you can find Mexican coffee at a restaurant or something near you. Or if you know how to make it, oh my gosh, if you know how to make it, hit me up on socials and let your girl know what your recipe is, because I do not know how to make it. And I want to try a recipe from somebody who knows how to make it really good, like a tried and true recipe kind of thing. All right, let's do our crystal prescription for the week. Let's see what we've got. I'm going to move my keyboard here so I can actually shuffle these decks in real time while I'm talking to you guys. Originally when I started this podcast, I thought like, oh, how fun. I have so many different decks. I'll just cycle through them. And lies, absolute lies. I still use the Crystal Portal Oracle from Moonstruck. Oh, and that jumped out immediately. From Moonstruck Crystals. Oh, so beautiful. These are the decks for this podcast. I use both the tarot deck and the Crystal Oracle. They have mini versions, which I really want to get. I have the silver versions, like the silver hologram kind of edged versions. The foiling is silver along with the colors. Oh, how funny. Oh, I love this image. It is a beautiful open window with a sun. There's a beautiful black cat sitting on it. A sunstone spire, and of course the sun itself is colored like sunstone. So that is the stone, the crystal of the week. And let's see what it has to tell us about these agreements for the week. So sunstone is independence, empowerment, vitality, and inspiration. Soak up the sun's rays, just like our feline friends do. I am such a cat in that regard. It's no surprise here that sunstone is linked to the radiant energy of the sun. Tap into your inner feline instincts. Cats, known for their independent nature, thrive without constant attention and reassurance. Therefore, Sunstone helps you to feel more confident, self-reliant, and in control of your own life. A lot like the 4 agreements that we just discussed. Wild. This card meows encouragement to find joy in solitude, empowering you to unleash your true originality. That's incredible. Again, totally irrelevant. Sunstone it is. I have beautiful sunstones from Plush, Oregon. When my kids were younger and I could throw them both in one vehicle along with a bunch of camping gear and whatnot, I would take them first by myself as a single mom, and then later when I remarried with my incredible husband, to Plush, Oregon, and we would go rock hounding for sunstones. It was kind of like a yearly summer tradition for us. We would stop at really cool diners along the way and find just really cool local places. We found an incredible hot springs up in Oregon by chance, driving back and forth, and other hot springs in Northern California. Just incredible stuff. But I have a bag of, I've never found any of the big, like really huge, like nugget type sunstones. And I'm always jealous of those that have, but I do have quite a number of gorgeous little specimens of sunstones. I guess when you think about it, even the trip that I took to get them really represents independence as a single mom, packing up my 2 kids and heading out, on a road trip, hours and hours away, and camping and rock hounding, for days at a time. Let's do our tarot for the week. Let's see what our divination is. What message? And again, I want you guys to take what works for you and leave the rest. If, divination, tarot, crystals, that kind of stuff is not for you, no problem. It isn't for everybody. That is okay. This space is completely open and welcoming to you, regardless of whether or not you find crystals and or divination and or coffee, even weirdo, to be relevant to you. The message, I think you can still use the message, to spark journaling, to spark thought, to spark idea. It doesn't have to be inherently linked to the woo-woo type of things. You can take it as you will. And like I said, take what works for you and leave the rest. But let's see what our divination is for the week. These tarot cards, they're all the same size. These are really big cards for my hands. I have big hands for a chick. And, well, you just want to come out here. Oh, amazing. It's almost exactly the same color. This is wild. I've never seen this card before. It is the 6 of Cups, and it is tangerine quartz. So let's find our cups. There we go. Oh, this is amazing. This is so amazing. I love this for this week. So the 6 of Cups indicates innocence, childhood memories, pleasure. Tangerine quartz is our inner child and creativity and joy. The energy of the 6 of Cups is all about revisiting one's roots and happy memories. Reminiscing over the good times and getting in touch with your inner child will help you to connect more with your authentic self. Authenticity is really the cornerstone of being able to do the 4 agreements. They are agreements with yourself. They are promises to yourself. You have to be authentic in order to live them, to walk them, to nurse by them. So this is perfect. So tangerine quartz and sunstone and the 6 of Cups. Just absolutely beautiful, beautiful cards and incredible, beautiful messages. If this spoke to you, which I really, really hope it did, I just want you to know that you are never meant to carry the weight of every shift, every patient, every trauma on your back. I want you to release what is not yours, hold your sacred boundary, and allow yourself to return to center. And if this episode spoke to you, I'm going to ask you to take a small action. I want you to take a small action for me. I want you to DM me which of the 4 agreements is hardest for you right now. It could be on TikTok, it could be on Instagram. The text message thing, this is like my favorite thing. And I actually have gotten people that have used it and it thrilled me to the core. If you look at the show notes on Spotify or Apple podcast, if you look at the show notes for the episode, the very first line looks like a link, and it is. And if you tap it, So of course, while you're on your phone, maybe even iPads too, I think. But if you tap it, it pops open a text message. I don't get your number. I don't get your info. Your secret is safe with me, but you can directly text me, and you can directly text me. It goes right to me, and you can put your name if you want or be completely anonymous. It doesn't matter. I don't get your number. And it's not signing up for anything. It's not an SMS service. There's no there's no return to sender is what I'm trying to say. You click on that link and you send me information, whether it's a story you want to share, whether it's, I would love to know which of the 4 agreements, which of the 4 agreements is hardest for you. The don't take it personally was hardest for me. And in some ways it still is. And the sustainable best one, that is my second hardest one that I struggle with sometimes still. So I would love for you to tell me your story, tell me your side. And share this episode with another nurse. We are building community here, and there are millions of us. I can only build as fast as every one of you hits share and passes me along. So I'm asking you guys to share the episode and share your story with me, share your struggles with me. Like I said, it can be anonymous. If you want to be identified or, give your name, or heck, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, if you have a story, if you have something you're really passionate about, message me. I want to highlight other nurses. I want to highlight other perspectives. Absolutely. Message me. Like I cannot wait to interact with you guys. But this, building this community and sharing these experiences together, this is how we heal first and nurse better. So don't forget, you can grab free downloads. Course is still live. The Authentic Nurse course is still live, of course, on the website. It always will be. And the other forms of the list, all of that ritual nurse stuff is over at tcth.org. Everything is there to support your healing. I love your faces. Protect your peace, and I'll see you next episode.
This is your ritual nurse, Riva. Thanks for tuning in to the Ritual Nurse Podcast. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, so don't forget to subscribe and stay connected. For all our social links, free education, classes, blogs, and podcast notes with resources, head over to tcth.org. Until next time, love your faces.